Hi, I'm Ryan Carter, city editor for the San Bernardino Sun. I'm here with Josh Dulaney, who is a Sun reporter who specifically reports on matters in Rialto and in Colton. And specifically today I wanted to talk to Josh a little bit about Rialto and what is in store news-wise in Rialto in the new year. So Josh, why don't we talk a little bit about what is in store and really why it matters, why people should care?
Well, the biggest issue this year and really for the last couple of years in Rialto has been their budget. They have a $7.6 million budget gap right now. They have an $11 million structural deficit. So there are some things that the city staff and council are looking at doing this year to close that gap. The council is in talks with the labor unions to get some concessions from them, so that's coming up. There will be a mid-year budget report as well. In March, Measure W goes on the ballot, and that is the extension of the 8% utility users tax.
And this is huge, like for the city, right? I mean, there's a lot at stake here.
Yes,
for that tax.
That particular tax brings in about $11 million annually. It's set to expire at the end of June, and it's more than 20% of the city's revenues every year. So if they lose that, that structural deficit is going to jump to about $22 million. And at that point, we're looking at massive cuts to police, fire, recreation, and every department. So it's pretty critical for that to pass. Whether or not voters will do it, it's been around for about 10 years now. Remains to be seen. They just rejected a $5 million tax on petroleum companies in the city back in November. That was called Measure V. The voters, the voters shot that down. So there may not be an appetite for more taxes in the city. And just some of the numbers that the finance department announced late last year, as far as cuts go, the police department is looking at $5.3 million in cuts, the loss of about 20 positions. The fire department is looking at nearly $3 million in cuts, the loss of a fire station on the north side, and some more position cuts as well. So the city council also is making rumblings about putting another version of the Measure V tax on the ballot again sometime next year. So we have coming up the mid-year budget report, then we have the March utility users tax vote, and so those are some pretty critical things for the city. And of course, fiscal year ends the end of June. So
it sounds like people should really care about this because I mean there are public services at stake here, right?
Yeah.
Now, is there I don't want to make too much out of this, but is there are there concerns about insolvency here for the city, and I shudder to say the word bankruptcy, but I've heard that term come up.
Yeah, that's a really good question. There was a staff report leading up to some of the decision making on putting the utility users tax on the ballot, and the language leading up to that from city staffers was, if the utility users tax is not extended, then there will need to be service cuts and layoffs to avoid bankruptcy.